Le apetu ki el wichoye ta maship chanke troka matui ki he ogala ka chenlo inka le pejiwi khan ichiapon Daniel Grassrope o he trakojak paku o he wichashi tranchan hecha na hakech chile kuwichasha oyakegele wichashi tranchan yahapi na chel on techa hi on ta yutakuni pishne na on est au point réangé sans yamanik ha wichone kiganake on a tant eu que wichashi tranchan on est là quel na on techa mila haska trawo prek hanacha ogana yang kyapchan ke Lakota hana ata tokyung comptrenchni on yutakuni pishne on omanichi gana washichu tromanichi ogana yankicha ona washichu gechela taku cash wash akena ko yaha yakap na makochun kitraumana ko yaha wash akenu kibna yaha ona hani o ko wala khota o kashpe yamani samto apon he kaksea mani o han kib na lahan ye mane o mani trak o manani trak ogana na bale ogana ia kyab na o he o shijula ke na trekata ahi na o he ho gai seven na ish wa kute belena atha on techaglena iwaste na ke la khota tagna kwaste bshni me khampet ke le awgala mashib chen ke shwa ha me galat khain khale Garfield Grassrope ma chavna pejiwi kha he chaje hake he hoyin khaishe hector June 14 1991 ha le matropa hake hel Lakota kin omanichi na on rehel wichoti tejaka kwa hoyin khala Lakota on est au point que sam ia kakisha o he cha le han wana tejagina ko inja hena akibelesapi ona on tejaki le chimpshni ona mila haska trawo peki le Lakota ki ato itakani piktishni cha ogana le na wo pekarap chanke ogana yang kya chimpi na apael hiap chanke on tejagle na ogana yang kyapi na ichel apete kile ha wana makhoche gana to ongononipi o chanke he on chahel o manichi na o wichach chala hane upo hana iglu khlapo wichoye wa nakhsa yukha o être kashla ke he hana o manichi he atkhim yukha apete kile lona elohina shimpi na he tu chahe wana woigel khlawa chumpi na mila haska trawo pene tin kham kinaj na makhoche gel na hektakia onglu hapo hechos wana hon traipi o chanke heta wana uskampi skinki chapi na Lakota kina o kicha kokto hecha waya traipi le ian kiapi makhoche kile kashpe kile o hena ekash kitia trem chimpishni ona manikho waya trem ki Lakota times at chajigala ta hena ekash na ko ya trem chimpishni Lakota chon he daku kha he ya trem chimpishni ona on techa hena Lakota wichau pina hekta ke Lakota lo hena ayun yapi hotka hena ista komeni hena akip khan kau na hena wichachala hena wichasi tranchan hena wa ko ke ya mani pi na wa ho ko chakya pi dua it tranchan ta hatash o he ta ko lena akip khawi choye lena on ksi chapik ta chahi api holena she soliam chanke hena wash akapi eje shena wash akapi chanke wichasha khoshkala ka lena yuhashkam atala khoton ka kijan hecha gijishkam na hecha he wala khot oigo chanke hogana cha kinashin pike chala takun koki pikte ona on techi chahin kubele hogana mila haska kashkon izap chanke chihatnas apeton elon kokak sapkina ha utagniptishine wala khoton he na inajinkte to hana maskan khasapa maskan he ichua chimpkina ha le on techagena ke ha inajinkte inkha la halwi choy chage ki abaleza pishne techagena abaleza pishne chake no la hal washiji ogana o yapina washiji o yapi ash chante pina na sulan he kakijapi aiche abaleza pishne chake on teja to halwana chaji yoch bekyapchana hena ashna el ainashna tuk togene chunkina ha le omani chegale yuashtemna ha etawoki chukta kechimpi ash hechetishne wanawani to yut ota yut khap ash okihibishne ila haska na ha biro am he na ha on teja galena taptala hena kashkawi chaiza chanke ola hatu kina koich hibishne atala khota ta kon kabelena tash un yakhlo kapshne ho he on techagaleta hon kata kina biro na ha secretary la khota mai chenko hana na mila haska trokash lab oti hena ho hena atiha ichaza lel takun ki kaki jamana ungolo api ash na khom chimpishne ona oas on kati on Supreme Court avechana kon ungolo ipe ash hena ekash unkaktapshne khoya otchem chimpishne ochanke lena yewo pe thawo pe cha ogana kapchanke iste chapi na on hechit ot kama khochun kit khapon lena manupi ona ha ewa shichu galeta oit khanchin chakyab heche kabon hana on ke api chimpishne ona ha he on le on te chaglena elon ki khaka pishne na ha biro gelon ki khaka pishne na ha South Dakota congressman senator ichakablena elon ki khaka pishne na nauki chijin pishne he on ata khab igel khalan kinajepi na wala khotan 1868 na heta khokia 1837 1851 lenecha akon kinajepi na ata la khot ogna hont khapi holena hike washichik la khote chaka khablena unita connection chahe chetucha wana apkhaje jelon kinajem he kaki belesapi he on chale chilon kinajepi na la khota hont khapi ho he chechage chala takun koki hipikta cha chanke he chunkopi hoyen kha hogene chela woki uni hapikte na hogene chela wash akun kikikchupikte na hogene chela takun khapena ate kinana khopikte khaka kata ha oya pigena et khalena takto khaki sola pishni on hechel on kaupi chanke ya khaka to kinajepi na hecha hont khapi United Nation hechion kipi hekta omakha ha ona hechia takwik u kaki jableno galoipi ogash wapun kit khavani chubna ha waje hecha to yapikta cha ohena lakhota glena obogala kakta cha hi apikta khana ko he gash anapta pikusha ochanke unke ya tala hecha ake le chala apetu chona la ha hecha khaka tu kipi na ha Oheche omanichion ata ayate kiteta cash omanichion UNPO ape unpo app Oheche unkipi ona ayate wikjemina numsam yamani he ha hel yakapi na el akab wikjemina eche ayate kina ha trokahe unkipi tka unkichupi na hel onkapi kta ogana na unkina jempi o chawap unkit khavana wani chupi na ho he chana ko World Court abhecha wapi kena patima hiun ke apikta chana na ko he wana unkigala api o chanke ala na echa balaot khay wachi na ha ala apetu kina ha wana Lakota hot khay na chanu pona ko ikta dokhe tu cha ho hen hecha na ko we wang wachipi na Lakota ki was akok to hana echa on hechia wachipi echonha lechon skamble echonha o chanke ate ki Lakota ato hogane chela wang akapikte hogane chela kapaptakte hogane chela niuchun kyakte onke haka onke chinchap khako jagat khokata kya wichon chagon karok to hanecha iwan chunkchian kapi na hechon se inja which has it tranchan and trokashlo chunya elena hechons week champina apetugle ha leche wala khotangula ha namakhoche techila hinajib chakele ton kisha kala yuha maonepi kakisha maonepi kha inja wichon chag uktegelena wables ethiopikina ha hohene jat khokata kya inja ate el lena yanki chapina ha makhoche gelena el akan Lakota chanu pagalaha hechel oya pikta cha hogana cha he chinwi chun kyapi chanke ampetu kilel awa hechos obalakin na awa shityapi mas beshnit kha awa yiksak el obalakin kte yinka. First of all, my grandfather name is Daniel Grassrope. He's the last chief of this Lower Brule Reservation back in before 1934, and after 1934 he was dumped off alongside the road someplace, and he died at 103 years old back in 1956, somewhere in that year. And for a while we were the Lakota people, the Iktivichas as a common people, the First Nation natural people, were pretty idle while the United States government power was pushed upon the reservations and given the 1934 tribal council sole judgment on all our issues, treaty issues and home issues, that the tribal council have little Indian blood in them. The United States government federally recognized Indian, they call them, that has doing all this work for the United States government since 1934. And before that, when 1877 treaty was broken by the United States government, agreements were made with the chiefs, two chiefs, Red Cloud and Spotted Tail. That's where a real problem began. And subsequently, the laws, the United States government laws, were primarily made on a natural Lakota people so that they can fight against the government. So assimilation and laws that were used, like one professor said, drop of ink into the ocean will blend into the color of the ocean. That's the idea was used upon the Lakota people. So now that when we were blend into the white society, the United States government's gonna cheer for victory, and they're gonna take our land without paying any cent. That's the whole idea that the United States government designed this 1934 Act. And Bureau were used in between to encourage the tribal governments to do this dirty work for the United States government. And it's very unpleasant to say dirty, the words, but we have to say that. Somebody will have to say that. And it's time to say that today, because we are vanished in face of the world. And you cannot do that. No one on earth cannot destroy the race of a people in the face of the world. But the United States government has intend to do that. And we are at the edge of the cliff, so to speak. Because if we do not do anything, if we fail, then we are guilty as much as the United States government. And a great spirit will punish us. And so this is where several of us on each reservation are working hard towards this new government. This new government was declared at June 14, 1991 at the Bear Butte. Several group of Sioux Indians were gathered there and camped there. But the idea, they misunderstood that they were taking over the Bear Butte, but that's not true. It's a gathering for declaration of independence, which we did on June 14 afternoon. And about 5 reservations were there under 1868, and which is a quorum. And to this day, we went across to United Unrepresented Nation People Organization, and that reflects back, these grievances reflect back to many years ago, when our forefathers, treaty councils, have fought for us on these issues, claiming their land. And the United States government using the 1877 Act to abrogate our treaties. And then they call it, at that time, if you don't sign, well, you'll have to starve, or you'll be removed to an Indian country where unwanted lands are. And however, a lot of Indians didn't want to sign, so they cannot get the 3/4 adult male signature under Article 12 of Fort Laramie Treaty on April 29, 1868. And from there on, including the Battle of Little Bighorn, we, the Lakota people, were suffering the consequences. And today, they just keep us alive enough, under GA, which is a General Assistance, or SSI under state. These are welfare, is stay under the State and Bureau controlling the Indians, we the Indians, so that we won't starve, but we will suffer the consequences. But I think it's right for the Lakota people to stand up for their rights today. But what we need to do is to publicize to our younger generation. Today they are brainwashed, whitewashed, that they don't understand yet about their problem. They think it's okay. But like I said, they have them under control. Bingo games, casinos were set up for them so that they will be confused to not think about those things, and also the alcohol and drugs. So this is what happened to our younger generation. So we need to stress what we are doing. We, the Treaty Council, Black Hills Treaty Council, are doing under Ilahi Dog organization, originated in 1894, of all 8 reservations. And we are pursuing for more of our treaty back in 1851. We need to get together with Arapahoes and Wahpeton tribes and Cheyenne Indians, and these are we still have to do. But right now we are in process of working on our new government, which will benefit the non-Indians and Lakota people and everyone that lives under the this Declaration of Independence. And it's nothing bad, but I hear many criticism come from the people out there, misinformed and misunderstood, that they are saying that we're going to kick everybody out of South Dakota. And these things have been going on, rumors, but that's not our intentions. We want equality, and we want everyone to benefit from this. But the Lakota people and their land should stand as it is since 1868 and beyond the treaties. Treaties are only used by the government as a passport into our land and taking our land one at a time and move in closer and closer. And now we have just a portion of lands, each reservation, and controlled by the IRA government, so that we, the Lakota people, weren't able to fight for our rights. But these are the violations that have committed by the United States government system. So when we said, we mentioned New Deal and Bureau and so forth, we were talking about the United States government's laws. We're not talking about non-Indians. White, when they say white man, that's gone long ago. That's gone. But we have to live together. We still have long ways to go before this Great Spirit will come back again and prepare this world and heavens. And that's, in the Bible, they call it end of the world and big judgment day. And we want the United States government to not be in that damnation. So we ask them to make right with the Sioux people, or as far as that goes, other tribes within the United States. They have problems too, just like ours. And a lot of non-Indians, white people, are having problems with the United States government. And many of them are just probably thinking of giving up hope. And our Indian people are that way too. Our younger generations, they are the one are dying today, and alcohol and drug-related problems, deaths. So we hear this every day. We hear the young people dying right and left, but or some suicidal have committed, and some were attempt to get rid of their life because they are tired of this system. They're tired of these conditions that they live under this United States government system. And all these things, we should be the rich people because our lands are rich, but somebody else is getting rich off of our land, which are the certain people that having big business running, or congressmen, senators. They control our Black Hills. Some own lands there. And these are the ones that are fighting against us when they're supposed to represent us in South Dakota. But they didn't. That's why we declared independence, because Tribal Council Bureau does not represent us. Congressmen, senators in South Dakota doesn't represent us. So we took our grievances after we exhaust everything here in the United States, from the tribal governments up to BIA, all up to the Washington Capitol level, and including the Supreme Court, all have failed. And so we took our grievances to the United Nations. and it's in process. But to send a person from there, delegate to come and see for himself on each reservation. But he come as far as New York, and they stopped him right there, and they won't let him come in on the reservations, and that's really embarrassing. That means that the United States government is very guilty, and all his system down to tribal council are very guilty. So this is why they stopped him. They don't want to look at their past, like congressman, senator, I think I forget which one says that, but one of their speech in South Dakota said we cannot turn the clock back, and that's a kid stuff. You cannot do that in front of a Great Spirit. Great Spirit doesn't see it that way. He will turn the clock. No matter what we say here, he's going to turn the clock back, and that's when the hurt's going to take place. So I want the people, or I want the United States government to know these things, because there are violations after violations under treaty and human rights, and our treaty rights have piling up today. And this is what I wanted to say today, and I really thank you for this opportunity. Thank you.
Do you want a glass of water for that?
No, that's all right.
I do have one or two questions. One of those questions is, what would your vision be of this land, of this nation, were you to get it back? What would that look like? What would it be like for the children, for the old? What would the community be like? What would you see?
I think a bright future for our generation, and they need to run businesses like non-Indians having businesses in South Dakota or any other place, and they need to learn that. However, today they don't see it that way. They put us in cluster housing areas where a lot of criminal activities, because what they have is alcohol and drugs, and under that they get wild and they fight among each other, and there's no control of it. And they should have business going so that these things wouldn't happen. They could have a business like store owner or anything, garage or store, clothing or any other kind of businesses, the banker or, these things, our new generation need to learn. And they need to learn their culture. They need to learn their values. Values are more important. This is what we are talking about, natural laws of God, because respect is being used since the indigenous people have been on this continent. There wasn't any lot of laws, all kinds of laws, or any whole lot of law enforcement or anything to control them. We never have that. Everybody respect the Great Spirit way, and so they follow their values. The elderly people have been teaching their children and their children and their children. As far as I'm concerned, before we got into the 1934 Act, I hear some of these things myself. I experienced those things, and I still kept it, in my heart, in my mind, and I try to teach my children. But however, a lot of influence is coming from outside government system, and that's what really ruins the generation. Because if this we have, then we can, this new generation will have something to rely on, something value for them to look ahead for on the future, the coming future for their children, their children's.
One thing that we've been noticing all through the reservation is the amount of fencing. That everything is fenced off. There is no free land here. We were talking a little bit about that inside. Can you address that, about what's happened to the land here under the tribal council?
Tribal council is controlling the tribal land, and which that's supposed to be part of mine too, but they control it. Then our private lands have been controlled by the tribal government, and Bureau is supporting up to the Secretary of Interior. And so they give them sole judgment, as I mentioned before. This is why you see a lot of fences, in these areas where they blocked off even my own land. I can't get inside my own land. And if I want a bird for dinner, I have to get a permission to go hunt on my own land, or the tribal government been taking hunting fees from my land, and they use that and put it in their fund when that should come into my pocket. And these things have been going on, and you can't step into a tribal land. You have to go get a permission from them, otherwise you will violate their laws. And these are some of the things that happened to us since 1934.
What about the fact that we've noticed that there are a lot of beautiful lands here? There's no development of tourism or any facilities.
Okay.
People have wanted to do that, or where does the money? What do they do with their money? They haven't developed anything.
See, a lot of these tribal funds, we don't know. We don't know anything about it, and how they've been used, we don't know. But this land that I'm talking about, controlled by the tribal government, they themselves leasing it with little, rate. They reduce the rate so that they can fit into it. And their relatives, ranchers. You see the ranchers around here, all tribal governments, council or employees. So you see, this is how they control it, and they use it as a grazing. No one else can't get inside, unless the council people themselves or the relatives will lease the land from the tribe and sublease it to non-Indians outside the reservation to bring some cattle in, or the livestock. So that's their purpose of controlling all the land, and you don't see anything come out of it for the benefit of the people. Only these people are benefiting it. And we have irrigation up north, big irrigation, is operated the same way, controlled by the farm corporation, but the tribal council has the last word to say so about these things. But the state and Bureau are involved in this farm corporation, and one is out west, further out west, by the lake. They get their water from there to irrigate the tribal lands, and then they use that as a goose hunting area too, and they make money. But that again, we don't know where that money went to. All these things are kept in the dark, that we don't know anything about it up to today. Only that the tribal officials know, the chairman and the secretary and treasurer, to that level. But the members of the of the Lower Brew doesn't know anything about these things. And when the tribal council, if they go to Washington or if they're going to do anything on the reservation land or anything, we're the last one to know about it. And these are things that going on, or anything that come on the reservation, we're the last one to know about it. Sometimes a lot of our children are picking up leftovers. That's how the conditions are on our reservation here in Lower Brew.
One other question, and that is, what do you feel you can, what did you leave the World Court with? Are you going to have participant status in the unrepresented nations, United Nations? What did you come away from the Hague with? What was the most important thing you think you accomplished there?
Well, I think it's a accomplishment is in process, and we took our documents to the World's Court. Attorney is going to work on that, and we will not know until 10 days later. However, the unrepresented nation people organization is successful, and all we need is some paper to be released to them, and that's where we really rely on our recognition of power, and the decision making is gonna come out there, probably supporting the World's Court and the United Nations. We know a lot of these people, different nations, statements are saying that the United Nations is controlled by the United States, and influence that Security Council. So we know, and they know, the other nations, that United States is head of that. And no matter what we say there, United States government is gonna stick his nose in there and say, well, you pass a resolution just like they did to Iraq. So the people, in other words, are saying they can't rely on that, because that's their problem over to their nations, is that the United States government is influencing their governments, and that caused a lot of separations. And so everyone is now thinking about independent too, and a lot of them did already. And those are the people that were there at UNPO. And so I think everyone's going to rely on UNPO. During our speeches there, our spokesman have stressed to them that if you receive any money from the United States government, I have nothing to do with it, because it's going to be controlled by the United States government. And they said, yeah, there's some money coming from the United States. And at the meeting, there were 2 representatives from the United States government. And the spokesman stood up and told them, while you people are here representing the United States government, I got to tell you these things. And he told them, right from his heart, from his mind, that we're not here to listen to your influential statements to the nations. We are all having problems because of your administration, Mr. Bush. And he says, you better tell Bush that to read my lips. I'm going to kick some asses. And if Mr. Bush could make a statement like that in front of the public without respect, I can do it too also, he said.
One other question is, and I have my own feelings about that after having been there, but could you explain a little bit about why the Black Hills are so important to the nation?
Okay.
And Agnes
Uh, since 1877, when the two chiefs made agreement without the consent of three-fourths adult male signature, a lot of our chiefs and with their people, bands, majority of them are out to Wyoming, Little Bighorn, in a hunting party. They were getting ready for winter, and so without them, when they signed these papers, illegal papers, the government uh, wanted that, because a lot of these signers were signed twice, or some of them signed 3 times, and those were illegal descendants, and some of them were non-Indians that lives on the reservation that time. So it's all illegal, but they wanted that land because what they found that is they found a lot of richness on that land. First one is a gold and timber and land itself. And today there's a lot of tourist attractions that the government is making money and the state's making money off of this land. And we never see not even 1 cent from that. But when our grandfather, our ancestors, including my grandfather, my grandma, they said, when you carry a bag, they used to, when they travel, they carry a bag with a lot of dried meat, a lot of preserved wild fruits, and that's their survival, way of survival. And the Great Spirit, in the same token, put this land here, give it to the Indians, and the water, and the land, and Black Hills is the heart of the Lakota people, because that's where our bag of food is there. Our grandmother is watching it. Our grandfather, Great Spirit, is looking from above and doesn't like what's going on. We don't mind sharing it, but if the treaties are broken, then I don't think the Great Spirit doesn't like that either. And so if this reconciliation is in processing, it's not starting from the grassroots, but somebody else is running a big business with a state government, and they push it onto the Indians, which is getting the Indian together and put on ceremonies at Crazy Horse Monument and other places. And the Indians have fake pride from that, and they think that it's, they are getting into something good, but it is not. Reconciliation belong to the grassroots people, the first party of the treaty signers, and the reconciliation has to go back over there from the scratch. The United States government and the grassroots will have to sit down. The first party of the descendants will have to sit down, and the United States government have to make a reconciliation. not the Indians, the grassroots. But today, that's the way it looked like when they have these reconciliation ceremonies. Make it look like we're the bad ones, We're the ones that done wrong to the United States government or the state. That's the way they look at it. But we reject that. The Teton Black Hills Nation Treaty Council.
If you have now an opportunity to speak to the young people of your nation, the ones who are struggling to stay in high school, the ones who are struggling to stay clean, the ones who don't know where to go, in your own language, what would you say to them?
Oh, takuchi apiki. Lechala wichoi chagekena wuchi jakoktulo. Yoka otiachin lena trokash lauchin api. Na onchi ana wichashi trachanglena makochan techilapi. Miniwa techilapi. Na oon chanupon techila manim. Oon ogana igalo hapiktacha. Hoyon kalena wa kan hechit trokash la kan kalena hechit. Hechele chunchaki. Hogana Wokon ze wichak chanket hati topa na wabli oyate na makha unchi hogana o yapik wana washichu kina mila haska thawonspe na thawo prepi new takoni piktishni ocha he ogana chale ye on techa hi na ha wana ichel leha hina jepiki apkhaje je wana mayon kokat akhdet kha Lena hond pig Lena. Nija hektaka dokhel ni trokashila. Ni konshi. Na wichashi trancha. Trantraka witko. O trantraka iotake. Trashonke witko. Holena Lilash agya week champi. Anaha hena echa makoche galena techilab. Chinwa kantranka etaha lena uke soleapi on. Otra etaha inch ichikma week champi. Naha he oncha ani chanupakila hibo ha. Wanji ichikma week chanchanke. Hushe jashkelo. When you catch chanupago akalo, makakilo akha, niwakampelo. Chanke chikma week champshino, makoche galawi uprea champshino. Heno akan wichoi charikta cha hechons akantrankan upelo. O chanke Lakota o in speech ichiapo. Lakota yapeno speech ichiapo. Na wo Lakota kilena ukachne chimpo. Na hekta ki o hogan ukachne chimpo. Na chanupo upik hetki akina jimpo ashage. Heche chakina chanupa ki he onipik takelo. He on akantranka hoi kiapkina. Dako techika anichik takelo. O chanke bele hichiapo. Wichoi chaha yoblena. Hogana kinajin piktacha ogana nija ogana kinajin po hechejakina pilanic yakte nani chinjakina pilavichak yakte nit khako jakina wichoi chagan trokata kya wana winichachala winochchala inajin piki nit khako japi nasapa wichoi chagene akhota uktegena pilavichak yaktelo hechetuelo pilama po mitako ase.
Brule, Missouri River, where they've dammed it up.
Lewis and Clark.
Been drowned because they wouldn't get the hell out of the way. Said that's
Missouri River, Lewis and Clark Expedition Site. Hi, Jimmy.
And
Lewis and Clark.
didn't drown them because they wouldn't put the hell on the lake. So that's where
Oh, somebody's not happy.